welcome to my channel. My name is Autumn Ambrose and today I am building a old schoolhouse. So it was a school in its former life and then it got transformed into a house because the school was no longer needed, and I am so happy to say that this is going to be my first autumn build of 2022, and I had no intention for that happening. It just so happened that when I was doing the garden for this place, I realised, hang on, it's September and I count September as being autumn, and you typically go back to school in the autumn time in September, which means this can become my first 2022 autumn build. I'm so happy and I really love the way this looks. It's one of those builds where I just go stare at it and go, oh my god, I can't believe I built this, looks so nice. So I'm super happy that happened because I haven't even planned on any autumn builds, maybe because I haven't really thought about it. So I'm super happy that this could be one of those autumn builds. I don't know if I can be building any more autumn builds after this. I've just planned ahead for Halloween. I've got a Halloween build in mind, but I don't know if I've got any more autumn builds to come. But I'm super happy that this build here is an autumn build because it just suits it so perfectly. It's school, autumn, you go to school in September, in the autumn time, this is absolutely perfect. And when I first started to build this, I think I started building this in the summertime. So just when we got the curved walls update. And there's this build I've been wanting to build for such a long time. I'll pop up a picture of it if I can find it, otherwise it's going to be really hard to follow along. But I've been wanting to build that building for such a long time. It's been saved to my Pinterest for forever, and it has curved walls, and so when the curved update came, I was like, oh, let's go and build this. This is going to be my schoolhouse build because I've been planning and wanting to build the schoolhouse for such a long time, and when the curved walls update, I thought this build with the curved walls would be for the schoolhouse. And I started to build the building with the curved walls, and I was just so disappointed because I've been wanting to build this schoolhouse for such a long time, to the point where I've collected so many pictures from Pinterest to Instagram to Google, that this curved building that I was building for the schoolhouse didn't even look like how I wanted the schoolhouse to look like, to the point where I didn't even want to look at it. I didn't even want to go into the game. I didn't even want to change it. I didn't even want to build anything else. I just wanted, not to look at it. So as I was watching Kate Emerald's build of the pink Barbie doll, I was watching Kate Emerald's build of the Barbie doll house, which pink. And I just said to myself, if you don't like it, it's okay. I think you're just a bit carried away with the fact we have the update of curved walls. It's okay. If you don't like it, you can just delete it. So that's what I did. I went back in the game, deleted that build with the curved walls, and I started to build this one. But before I started to build this one, because I had so many pictures that had so many elements that I wanted to incorporate for this build, I actually had to draw it out how I wanted it to look like, because there was just so many elements, which is unusual for me because normally, yes, I have lots of pictures, but I can somewhat see how I would like it to look like as I go, so I just kind of flick through as I'm building. But yeah, there were just so many pictures with so many different elements that I wanted to incorporate for this build. I had to draw it out. I can draw real life animals, sort of animals in a real life sense, so they look realistic. But I can't, for some reason, I can't draw houses very well. It was a mess. I think if anyone else saw the drawing that I did for this house, I don't think they would be able to recognise it as a house, they probably go, ooh, what's that scribble you're looking at there? It's a house. It's my house I'm building. So yeah, but it was good enough for me to look at and see. And yeah, I'm really, really happy. I love the way this has turned out. I'm just kind of like staring at it. Even when it had no windows, when it's in this state here, I was just kind of staring at it, going, "Oh my gosh, it looks so good, yeah." So really, really happy and proud. I'm super proud of this build. Yeah, I love it. I love it inside and out. Yeah, I'm super proud and happy with it. I love this little detail here that I'm doing with some of the fences. Using the debug. I don't know what they are because they're really low down to be an actual fence. But let's just call them fences. And I love that I put them within the other fences. I'm using this thingy here. I've used it before as a roof detailing. Normally I use a tool more to align it against the roof eaves. But for here I just kind of lined the roof edge to give a little bit extra detail because it's something you would normally see on a fancy grand estate looking building like this. So I really wanted there to be like an area where you could drive into this place because it was a school, so that you could have perhaps drove into this place, drive round the roundabout where the fountain is, and sort of like park your car right underneath the cover there on the side. So I really want to include that detail there. I also really want to include a little pyre, what's it called, pyre building, it goes really high and tall up and comes into a point. I really want to include that into my build, and some of the inspiration pictures I was looking at were from places like Oxford and Cambridge and the universities and their buildings. So yeah, I took some inspiration from like those pictures, and despite knowing that I wanted like a little roundabout at the beginning or at the front of this build, and to be there like enough space for your like a car to get round, so I knew that I wanted to have like a large area at the front of the school or schoolhouse. I just didn't really know like where else to go for the front garden or even the back garden. Because yes, I want to keep elements of this build to represent the school aspect of it, because I like to think of it as the Sims who live here and renovated this place to turn it into a house, kept some elements of the original building in place, so not completely destroying the soul of the house, and keeping some of the school elements in there. And so that's what I wanted to do as well. So I just didn't know how to do like the front garden and the back garden, because like what would a school have in the back garden as it was, but then they wouldn't have a back garden because it would be a playground, but this is technically your house now. So I got a little bit confused with that. And also I wanted the front garden to show off and emphasize the beauty and the architecture of this build, and not to completely overtake from it and to swallow the build up, and for you to be distracted by the front garden. I want all the eyes to be on the build, but at the same time I want the front garden to support the look of the build. So I was like, okay, I know that's what I need to do, but I just don't know how to do it. And I would look like at Pinterest pictures, and a lot of them had like very formal fancy hedge gardens, and I just didn't feel like the full-on fancy hedge gardens would have suit this place. Bear in mind it was a school at one point. I don't think it'd be too much upkeep and maintenance for like a full-on hedge garden to be put in the front garden. So I end up just to like graveling a good proportion of this front garden. Bear in mind, like I said, I wanted a place where you could drive around the roundabout and park your car, just where the little what's it called? It's a shelter thing that it's just on the side of the build. But also other cars will probably want to park up in this area, so put some more cars in there. Debug cars in there. So I put up them to the left hand side of the build. So yeah, I just basically covered it in gravel and then lined the edges of the gravel with some hedges. Because there's only a few hedges. That I think the few hedges I have placed is a good number of hedges that the school could possibly keep the maintenance of. So yeah, I'm really happy that with the look of that. It doesn't overtake the look of the build. If anything, it kind of supports the look of the build, which is what I was trying to go for. So we are now inside. Because this is such a huge, massive build, I don't show you all of it because I believe, I could be wrong, I counted the bedrooms so many times, but I could be wrong. I believe there is 7 bedrooms and 9 bathrooms, I believe, in this house, as well as the other rooms. So like I was saying, I was thinking that the Sims that came to renovate this build really wanted to keep aspects of the school still in place. So I like to think that they kept some of the rooms for like a study, a music room, a library, and an art room, not making every room a bedroom. They kept some of that space back for like classrooms, as it were. So like things like the library and the art room and the music room. Just to keep those elements of the school in this build. I also pop lots of like blackboards throughout this build, and I really wanted to decorate the inside of this schoolhouse in the dark academia style. So I believe, I could be wrong, I believe this style kind of popped up and became very, very popular on TikTok. And I don't have TikTok, but I started to look at dark academia style on Pinterest. Now, there isn't a lot of dark academia Pinterest stuff at all, really. There's sort of like dark academia aesthetic, where you got like pictures of like an old book with a cup of coffee, with I know, a camera and some dusty old roses, with like some sort of like philosopher statue guy in the corner there with some books. There's lots of pictures like that. There aren't many, or at all really, any pictures of like full rooms of the dark academia style. There's also lots of like montages where they show off like all the elements that you would need to create the dark academia style, and with some few words here and there also describing the dark academia style. But if you like me, you would rather have like a whole entire room of the dark academia style so you can fully grasp what it is. You're not gonna get that. There's nothing out there for you. So for that reason, I decided to go to YouTube and look at some dark academia style, because there was going to be people decorating their bedroom in this style, and that's where I got most of my information from. It was actually from YouTube, of those people decorating their houses or their living room or their bedroom in the dark academia style, which just gave me a bit more of an idea of what it is, because then I could see the entire room in it and not just little close-ups of clutter. So yeah, that was very helpful. I found some bits on Pinterest that was saying dark academia, like things like skulls and body parts, like the autonomy body parts and skeletons and things like that. But what I found on YouTube, the videos that I watched didn't even mention anything about like skulls or body bits and pieces and brains and skeleton and things like that. They didn't mention anything like that. All they really mentioned was cameras, old book pages sort of like ripped out and stuck on the wall or in golden picture frames. They love the golden picture frames or anything gold or of a copper look to it. Lots of fancy large patterned rugs, and so for this build I do clutter a lot of the rooms in the Dark Academia clutter, because that's what I was finding more of, was the clutter items you would put into a Dark Academia room, not the general over aesthetic of it. So yeah, there's a lot of clutter in this build, which is very not unusual for me because I don't really do clutter. I put like a few bits and pieces here and there into it just to make it look like it's lived in, so I'm sort of like moved into it, but I don't really go to town on it. I don't make it look like they've been there for like years. So yeah, I do put a lot of clutter in, to the point where it was just like so much I had to sometimes cut it because I was just spending way too long placing all these different items. So we are just doing the living room here. I also took inspiration from the Salvatore house. So Damon and Stefan Salvatore, I took inspiration from their house. So the placement of the stairs, I took inspiration for that and how the stairs are formed. I also noticed they had like a little bench seating area on the stairs as you go up them. So again, that's something I did for this build here. Because part of me was like, where do I put the stairs? Do I go for like a really grand staircase? So as you go in, you have like the stairs right in front of you. But when I found the picture for the Salvatore's house, I was like, well, their place is quite grand and fancy. They've gone for like the staircase just off to the side through the hallway. I thought that's good enough for them. It's good enough for me. So throughout this build, I placed a bunch of pictures off from the gallery just to help me achieve that Dark Academia style and look and feel the place. And as I was scrolling through the gallery trying to find all these different pictures for this build, I noticed some of the people that were uploading these pictures to the gallery were using some base game picture frames, or just base game pictures, and then scaling them up to frame their pictures that they're uploading it to the gallery. So that's what I decided to do because for this build, because like I said, Dark Academia style loves the golden antique copper like frame. So for the lot of the pictures I have placed in this build, I was using that technique of grabbing a base game picture with a lovely gold frame and popping it over or underneath so I frame my picture. I found out a lot of the base game pictures worked quite well. I don't know if it's because base game pictures are thinner, but I found a lot of pictures that are from other packs didn't really work very well. And I only found that the base game pictures with the golden frames worked. So I don't know if it's because it's thinner or what, I just know that it works. So just using the tool mod here just to make these books stand up. I placed a bunch of books. I went overload on the books because that's where how you grow your brain is by reading books and from learning. I know you can learn in other different ways. Not everybody can learn via books. I'm not one of them. I cannot learn via books. I'm more of like a visual learner, but I think Dark Academia prefers books because they're just nicer aesthetic wise, aren't they? So yeah, I placed a bunch of books in this build. Other Dark Academia like clutter item include that green light there I've placed on the desk there, candles, mirrors. I saved like a bunch of these montages on my Pinterest board, But as I was taking screenshots, I was just kind of like looking through these montages. I was like, oh, mirrors! I forgot to put mirrors on like walls and stuff, like not mirrors to sort of like look yourself in, to admire yourself in. It's just like decorative mirrors you put on the wall amongst your a landscape photography and a random person on a horse, and old quotes. They're like some like old quotes. They also like this is just again what I've seen on YouTube, some sort of Georgian architectural style. From memory, from my Georgian build, they like, oh, what's the word? Greek style. There is a proper word for it, but I like Greek style Georgian architecture, like Greek style architecture. You can see that through the columns. They also like old brainy guys known as philosophers and stuff like that. We don't really have statues of old brainy people. So we don't really have that golden statue of the woman, so the bust of that woman that I've placed in the hallway where the kitchen is. We also have the romantic garden stuff statues. The woman from the romantic garden stuff pack, she has like ivy all over her, so putting her inside on one of these pedestals doesn't quite fit because of the ivy that she has around her. So I used a lot of the guy, I don't know what it's called, but he kind of looks like he's thinking. So I put him everywhere. But then I noticed the golden woman, so the bust, she comes also in like a silvery white colour, but I only noticed that later on in the build. So that was a slight annoyance. I was like, I actually had 2 statue bust things I could have used around this place. Another thing that I found on YouTube was that one of them mentioned that the dark academia style would also suit Hogwarts style. So all of your Slytherin house, or your Hufflepuff house, or Gryffindor, or Ravenclaw, the style that they've decorated those houses and Hogwarts itself would probably count as dark academia style. And I think it was around about this time last year that me and my sister went to the Warner Brothers studio tour, and it was absolutely brilliant because it was around the Halloween time. In the Great Hall they had like pumpkins, and they decked it out as it would have looked like if it was Hogwarts at Halloween time. And it just so happened we were at the right time at the right place when the Death Eaters came through the crowd, and we were just at the platform where they would do their stuff, sort of like I don't know, what were they doing? They were just sort of like being Death Eaters. And yeah, we were just at the right time or the right place at time when they came to the pedestal, just to act intimidating like in a Death Eatery manner. And I think I have captured the best picture of my sister ever, because my sister is the most massive fan of Harry Potter ever. And she wanted a picture of the Death Eaters just behind her, and it's like the best picture ever because she's like super excited and like, yeah, I'm at the right place at the right time and getting a picture of the Death Eaters, but also, can you just please take the frigging photograph, because they're kind of scary and intimidating me to just take the picture. It's like the best picture ever, and I absolutely love it. Also, we bought like a couple of things from the shop, and it gave us in a lovely brown paper bag, which is great for the environment. But as we were leaving, it was chucking it down. It was proper raining, and my sister could not find her car anywhere. Bearing in mind the car park is huge, so at some point me and my sister got split up. I found the car, but I didn't have the car key. So I was like, do I leave the car and say, hey, I found your car, but then lose it again? Or do I stay with the car and hope and pray my sister finds me? I think I'd left the car because I could kind of see her, and I just went, the car's over there. The bag itself kind of disintegrated because it's paper. And when I got back home, I was still soaked. I was really, really wet. So yeah. We are now in the art room. So again, this was one of the rooms that I wanted to keep back and not turn into one of the many bedrooms that is part of this schoolhouse, because I want to keep the elements of classroom into this build. And I really love the element of the sink area there, because I kind of based this on the memory of when I used to go to school, and I remember in the classroom. But this is bearing in mind, this is based on the classroom of my high school or secondary school, and in that classroom of my art classroom, it had a like sink area where you could clean up your palettes and your paintbrushes. And for this build here, I just thought it'd be like a really lovely detail to put in, and just to come across that this would have been an art classroom at one point, and so there would have been plumbing in this area anyways. So I feel like the Sims who moved in kept that sink area because they also wanted to use it and keep it as an art room. And I decided to put some bits and pieces in front of the sink there because I don't want your Sims to use the sink. It's just there to tell a little story and to be like a little decorative area. And I also used a tool mod there to place some paintbrushes in the little paint pot that I found. I also put down some bathroom clutter that has like a hair dryer. The reason why I put that down there was because I felt like if your Sims were doing watercolor, they could have like used the hair dryer just to push the watercolor about. Because when I was at school, I remember if we were doing any sort of chalk work, they would say to set your chalk artwork, use hairspray. So I wasn't too bothered by the fact that I put bathroom clutter in there. So that was the idea of that. So we are now in the library area, again just to keep the aspect of the school in here, because I feel like this was a grand fancy school, perhaps a private school. Parents or whoever would have paid a lot of money to send their kids here, and so they would probably have a really fancy library with a fireplace. I also really wanted to create this library to have a really cozy, grand feel about it, but you can easily be taken away to wherever your book is, or like mystical land, and you just really wanted to cozy up underneath a blanket with a fire crackling. Perhaps it's raining cats and dogs outside, and just to be taken away by whatever book you're reading, but still have that grandeur about it. So I placed the cottage living, what's it called? The cottage living blanket basket with some cushions in there. I placed it by the fireplace. I also placed down a tea set because it feels like this would be the perfect place to have some tea as well when you're reading your book. I also popped down a bunch of globes because again that is something that I found that suited the dark academia style. I also popped down the vintage glamour globe that serves juice. Juice. So perhaps you want to get a bit tipsy as you read. Perhaps that's how you would like to enjoy your books, is when you're slightly tipsy. So I put that down there, and also it's just another globe in here. Or here, so by the fireplace, I really wanted like a really lovely mirror that filled up that space, but we really don't have any mirrors that do that. So I used the Get Famous mirror, one of the Get Famous mirrors. It's alright. It's not my favourite mirror, but it's okay. It's so The reason why throughout this build you may see me using the cottage living wallpaper, which kind of reminds me of a William Morris print. But the reason why I'm using it throughout the build, because as I mentioned, someone in one of the videos that I watched said that the Harry Potter style, in which they decorated Hogwarts in, kind of represents the Dark Academia style. And when I was at the Warner Brothers Studios, I took a bunch of pictures, and one of them was the Slytherin Common Room. And in the Slytherin Common Room, they have this. Why do words run away when I'm trying to do voiceovers? They had one of these old vintage motifs, like painted things. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a wallpaper but fancy. It's like a proper bit of artwork on the wall, but wallpaper. And I just felt like this cottage living wallpaper kind of looked like that. So I believe this is the last room that I am showing you. Of course I will decorate all the other rooms, but this is the last one I am showing you, and I'm seeing this as the main bedroom because it's the largest bedroom out of all of them. It has the lovely curved walls with a bunch of windows, but this is where I'm gonna leave you. So please like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you on the next one. And I really hope you like this house as much as I do. I love it. I am so proud of this build. So thank you and goodbye.